Baham letter 55. Righteous. It refers to a person who is in the work of the Creator yet always receives good and pleasant sensations and is in constant pleasure. For this reason, he always blesses the Creator who creates him in order to furnish him with such a good and delightful world. He too certainly does not need to explicitly utter the words, for the feelings themselves are the blessings that he blesses the Creator. This is why he is called righteous also, just for he justifies creation and feels it as it truly is. Question for active workshop. How can we reach the state of righteous and always feel the Creator in? Good Creator is good and does good, and we come to a state of righteous, feeling that the Creator is the Guru who does good. We learn the Kabbalists explain to us that there is a singular force that can help us in this reality, namely the reforming light. And if we attempt to connect amongst ourselves, if we try to follow in the footsteps of our teachers, then we can come to feel and understand what it's all about. And what it's about is us in essence facing the Creator alone. Only the person exists in front of him is the Creator. Everything we see in reality, it's just the Creator talking to us, speaking with us. And the Creator's work is with one purpose: to help the created being come to him, reach him. And when a person looks at reality from that perspective, he has a chance of starting to come closer to the Creator through thoughts and actions. When coming to the degree of the righteous, the meaning is sadikin. Hebrew is one who justifies. He sees the Creator as the Guru who does good, justifying him and his actions towards every single person in humanity, the Guru who does good, and we need to reach that as one man in one heart. We need to reach the state of one man in one heart in order to justify him. Coming to feel that he is the good who does good means we have to reach equivalence of form, share his qualities. We have to be givers, bestowers, and then we'll be able to appreciate the quality as it changes us. And on the path, on the way there, we have to connect and perform many acts, for many acts are bestowed way right, that it's by justifying the friends and the Creator who operates them. And I thought, as Bess just mentioned, we need to establish the way in which we connect to each other and relate to each other. It has to be in the same way that the Creator does. It's impossible to justify the Creator without equivalence of form, and that we attain here together in our collective work of intensifying, magnifying the love of friends between us. Together we build this form, the shape of the Creator, and then by becoming the good who do good, we see that he is the good who does good. The question started with how can we get there, and so most of these questions, how can we change something in reality? Well, it's only through incorporation and connection between us, because by himself a person is as he is, and if something needs to change, it can only happen through incorporation, connection, emerging from his little private, selfish ego into something much grander. And so where we have a conquest, and everyone are connected as one man in one heart, you can reach a new place. Rabash writes, he must believe above reason and imagine that he has already been rewarded with faith in the Creator. That is felt in his organs, and he sees and feels that the Creator leads the entire world as the good who does good. Although when he looks within reason, he sees the opposite. He should still work above reason, and it should appear to him as though he can already feel in his organs that so it really is, that the Creator leads the world as the good who does good. Silent workshop. Intention for the lesson. Let's feel that we have been rewarded with faith that the Creator is good and does good. Dear friends, for the first part of the lesson, we will watch lesson from the 22nd of September, 2021. This is about Shamarti Article 3, the matter of spiritual attainment. We'll continue from the words The upper light consists of 2 discernments. Please, hello friends, we'll start our lesson by reading an article from Shamarty. We're in the middle of Shamarty number 3. The study material appears on our website or on the Arit system. Click the study material icon at the top menu. You can send questions and selected questions will be asked during the lesson. Rob, please open up. How can I open up? Well, we're beginning as we said a few days ago that we have to go over all of the Shamadhi articles together. So we are in the 3rd article and let's continue in it. Let's finish it. So we'll get into the article starting with the words. This is why we pray to the Creator. If you have a book in Hebrew, it's page 517, 3rd paragraph. That's why we pray to the Creator to send us salvation and health. We should understand 2 things. First, the Creator, to the thing that extends from Him. The first discernment that is considered is to essence, we should not speak of it. Second discernment is the thing that extends from Him, which is considered the light that expands into our vessels, meaning into our will to receive. This we call, and so this is the connection of the Creator with their creatures, being His desire to do good to His creations. The will to receive is regarded as the expanding light that finally reaches the will to receive. And when the will to receive receives the expanding light is called insaf, and it comes to the receivers through many covers so that the lower one will be able to receive them. It turns out that all the discernments and the changes take place specifically in the receiver with relation to how the receiver is impressed by them. However, we must discern the matter we are speaking of. When we speak of discernments in the world, and they are potential discernments, and when the receiver attains these discernments, they are called actual. Spiritual attainment is when the attaining and the attained come together. As without one who attains, there is no form to be attained to the attained, since there is no one to obtain the form of their attained. Hence this discernment is considered where there is no room for any utterance. Therefore, how can we say that the attained has its own form? We can only speak from where our senses are impressed by the expanding light, which is His desire to do good to His creations, which comes into the hands of the receivers in actual fact. Similarly, when we examine a table, our sense of touch feels it as something hard, and its length and width all according to our senses. However, that does not necessitate that the table will appear so to one who has other senses. For example, in the eyes of an angel, when it examines the table, it will see it according to its senses. For this reason, we cannot determine any form with regard to an angel, since we don't know its senses. Thus, since we have no attainment in the Creator, we cannot say which form the worlds have from His perspective. We can only attain the world according to our senses and sensations, as it was His will for us to attain Him. So, and this is the meaning of there is no change in the light, rather all the changes are in the vessels, meaning in our senses. We measure everything according to our imagination, and from this it follows that if many people examine one spiritual thing, each will attain according to his imagination and senses, thereby seeing a different form. In addition, the form itself will change in a person according to his ups and downs. As we have said above, that the light is simple light, and all the changes are only in the receivers. And may we merit receiving His light and following the ways of the Creator, and to serve Him not in order to receive a reward, but to give contentment to the Creator and raise them from dust. From the dust, may we be rewarded with adhesion with the Creator and the revelation of His godliness to His creatures. Questions, please. if there are any towards the end there, he says the light is simple and all the changes are only in the receivers. Yes, how else can it be? What changes should we yearn for? Exactly, that we try to clothe our will to receive with the intention to bestow, and then according to those dresses of in order to bestow which we attain then the upper light accordingly, can clothing us gradually until we attain our equivalence of form to it, and in this way we come closer to the concept of the Creator, which is the complete upper light that shines on the will to receive that it created. How should it be expressed in our work with one another? We need to search. What is up? What are we supposed to do? Because for sure the Creator was not going to do the work instead of us, but only if we will invite those changes that do not depend on us, but depend on Him. And this is why on one hand the work is not upon you to finish, and you're not free to be rid of it, and everything is in the hands of Heaven except for the fear of Heaven. That is, we need to do our part, to scrutinize what is it exactly, and how can we actualize it quickly, effectively, and the Creator Kabbalists tell us He is the upper light that is in absolute rest, meaning the moment that we prepare the vessels from below, the upper light already imparts on them and corrects them, changes them. And this is why all of our work is with the vessels. The vessels are their desire, our desire. How can we change it? To the extent that we will try through our corporeal actions that we rise on, we climb the ladder. So as much as we in our corporeal actions will try to adapt ourselves to the Creator, like little children who play with all kinds of toys, and with all of these toys there is something from the past of the world of the grown-ups, but they're playing as though they're in this big world, and in this way they are preparing themselves for greater states, to be grown-ups. This is the same with us. We need to understand what does it mean to be in the spiritual world. It is to be as one man in one heart, to be in mutual bestow, to be in such a connection that out of this connection we will be able to bestow to the Creator, and the Creator is called Boy Come, and see He is revealed inside of us according to our preparation. So out of that we need to put together all kinds of exercises, and habits have done that already before us, and they like parents, or like teachers, nanny, as they prepare for us these games through which we can truly in the most correct and smooth manner we can enter being grown-ups, adults, meaning working with the Creator, with the attainment of the Creator. And this is after we conclude, we finish our kind garden, then we will understand what is our role and how do we carry it out. And then instead of playing between us in some sandbox or something with puppets or building blocks, we will start to correct ourselves in a way that we will demand a correction from above on the connection between us. This is the most important. All of the work that the Creator does is a response for our request, which is called a prayer or raising man. When we ask of Him connect us, because we are praying for the correction of the soul of the broken soul of Adam. This is what is up to us. For up to us to do. We need to restore the system to correction, and its correction is in that we will come closer to one another, and we will want to connect. We will want it out of our efforts, and then according to these efforts, when we will turn to the Creator will help us in that. He will give us the power of connection, the force of bestow, which to begin with we have none of it, and through this force of His toll, we will already be able to connect between us, so that the egoistic parts that are repelled from each other will want to be connected above this rejection, this repulsion. And then these two forces, the forces of repulsion and the forces of connection, when they operate on each other, out of that we will provide the conditions from the force of separation and the force of connection. We will provide the conditions for the Creator, so that in between these two forces He can come in and be revealed to us, so that the force of rejection, the coarseness, and the force of connection, the refinement, they are both operating. Just like in anything in our corporeal life, when you have two contrasting forces that create between them a condition for the revelation of a third force, which is the Creator, the cause. For these two forces, that's it. This is how we need to work. And therefore what He told us here is that our work is just not to forget about the fact that we are correcting the vessel of Adamarish. And this is especially important for us because we are in the last generation, as it is called, in the general correction of the general soul, and the Creator is already operating on the whole of humanity together. However, on each and every part according to its place in the system of Adamarish, and therefore you have such that hardly feel that there are any changes in the world, and there are such who feel very much those changes, and they feel a change in their lives, a change in their role, etc. And we need, in addition to them, to understand and feel what is happening in general. Everything that humanity will feel those changes that it is undergoing. It will feel changes that are passing through us. We are in the uppermost and the topmost layer of the broken souls, and we need to come into contact with the Creator and become a passageway for the rest of the souls, for the whole of humanity. This is actually our duty, and therefore, the more we connect, the more we will find the connection and demand from the Creator that we will have this connection, so that through us He will be able to bestow to the whole of humanity, because we need to operate out of the general love for everyone. Then we will keep our role, our duty, and we will feel how much by this we are giving contentment to the Creator. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Rob. How does a receiver attain spiritual discernance? In each and every one of us, there are qualities that remained for us from the shuttering of demission, and in those qualities, we get all kinds of responses, and out of that we start to work, each one of us in his broken vessel, and to the extent that we hear what the Coupists are saying, and out of us keeping actions that they recommend for us to do. By this we change the influence of the upper light on us. This is how we advance. Moscow 1. Moscow 1. Rob, you said that we have to come to a state where we work against the repulsion and rejection. Is this an anticipation of a greater pleasure, or is it simply a result of the light without any reason? Well, usually what we say is that a person doesn't do anything, and he has no idea what he's doing. However, there are two forces in him. One force is the beastly force that exists in any animal, in the still vegetative and animate, and besides that, in this animate desire that only cares for its own benefit. Besides that, we also have the point in the heart which we call a godly part from above, and we call it a spark from the will to bestow, and out of the shattering of the vessel that the Creator created, and later on He broke it deliberately. He created the will to receive, and He put inside of it a little bit of the will to bestow. This is considered that Adamiration was in the Garden of Eden on the degree of Bener, and later on He broke it, and then this vessel fell into in order to receive. However, a spark remained in it, and that inclination, this drive to attain the spark, and in it to attain a higher, superior development, we are yearning following the spark, and therefore we operate out of it. And in order to correctly arrange our attitude to this spark, the spiritual record, we need to perform all kinds of actions so that they will help us. These actions are connection in the 10 and all kinds of such things that tell us that those things will help us. And this is what we do. Another second, the action is clear. Question is different. the more we don't have a desire for connection, as you said. Well, this already is done by the upper light, the reforming light. When we perform all kinds of actions, according to what the Kabbalists recommend to us to do, and as a result of that we begin out of lack of choice, forcefully to get closer between us, and accordingly we see our action as in our connection bring us changes, and following many efforts in coming closer between us, not in our bodies, but in our inclinations toward the Creator, toward the upper force, toward bestow, toward connection through bestow. As much as we try to clothe these inclinations into actions that resemble spirituality more and more, according to that we are drawing, inviting the upper light, and it influences us, and then we already begin to feel that I exist in two states. Either I'm by myself alone, or I'm connected with the friends in the desire, of course not in the body, and especially during the pandemic it was done especially so that we will advance more towards an internal connection. So, as much as possible it is advancing people, promoting people towards inner connection. This is what we're all going through right now, the whole of humanity. And as much as we nevertheless try to get back to the physical bodily connection is only in order for us to seemingly succeed, and again it will break. We will succeed, and again it will break, and eventually we will not be able to be in a connection with one another, but only according to our inner changes. As much as we will want to be together, according to that we will be able to be together, so as to bring our world closer to the spiritual. In spirituality, the proximity between two spirituals is according to the equivalence of form, as much as they are close and they are drawn to one another. And then also in corporeality we are getting closer and closer to spirituality, so that in our world more and more forces that are spiritual are operating. Our world is ascending to spirituality, and therefore we can see here states that are so acute, sharp, contrasting, and this is how we will advance. There are no questions. Well, it will work out. Take it slowly. Go to the excerpt more correctly. According to the article writes that the spiritual attainment is when the attainment, the attaining, and the attain are connecting together. Well, what does it mean that I attain? It means that I'm in contact with whatever I'm attaining, and what I attain is depicted within me, within my senses, and I attain this form that is depicted in my senses, and this is called attainment. What is it that I attain? I cannot say, because it is something that is outside of me, but within me when it is depicted in a certain way in different forms. Within me, that is called attained blood. So what does it mean? That the one who attains and the thing that is being attained are together. Well, I attain something of whatever is influencing me by me wanting to connect with it. I build inside of me such a form, a template, so that I depict to myself precisely such a form of attainment that is I. How shall I put it? I change my desires according to these external qualities of the thing that I wish to attain, and then it is considered that this external thing clothe within me, and I change myself according to this external thing. So it turns out that within me exists a form which is an imprint of the upper one inside my will to receive. So how do I attain the upper one in my will to receive? I have no other possibility. However, to the x2, what extent do I attain the upper one? To the extent that my will to receive is capable of taking on the form of the upper one, the form of bestow, and this is considered that the Creator is clothed in the created being here. It becomes a bit complex, because we say that we pass everything through the tin. There's a third party here. No. That's totally incorrect. It is incorrect. We cannot attain the Creator unless we prepare our vessel, and our vessel is only when we connect There is no chance to attain the Creator if I do not come out of my will to receive. So where will I come out to? I'm coming out to connection with the others, and specifically to the extent and according to the intensity and the form in which I connect with the others. To that extent I can the peaks portray, feel the other, the Creator. The question is inside this picture the 10, the Creator. What is the 10? Is it what I attain, or the 10 is that from which I attain? Well, both this and that, as much as I personally connect to the 10, as much as I build myself inside of the 10, that we are together to the extent that I am now before the friends, that there is nothing in the world besides the friends. To that extent I'm ready for a connection with the Creator. That's it. Have to. Good morning, Rob. How can it be that we sit together for 20 years and don't shout? I can't understand what you're saying. Please speak to the microphone. Go ahead. How can it be that for 20 years we sit in front of one another and not receive it? 20 years and spirituality not receiving. Look, you can sit on your ass even for 100 years and it's not going to help. The question is, what were you doing during those 20 years? Read what the Kohlists say and then check out, did you do what they're saying? And then you can say 20 years went by, or maybe just a second went by, and maybe hardly even. That didn't ask about myself, but it's not according to the concept of corporeal time, it's according to the changes that you try to perform in your will to receive. This is how the spiritual time works, and your complaints, well, check them according to what you were told to do and whether you're actually doing it. I have no complaints. Thank you. Well, good luck. No, PT4. You said we are like children playing with toys in the sandbox. What do we do with kids who grew tired of playing with their plastic toys in the sandbox and they want the real thing? How do we continue from there? The Creator doesn't place a barrier before anyone. He just aims the person to the spiritual action. And of course, as we read and we learned, the first spiritual degree is the hardest. Later on it is already a development, the development from that first degree onward. If we conquer it, then the letter is already clear. However, the transition between corporality to spirituality, building the spiritual form on top of the corporeal form, that is difficult. And again, do we have a choice? Either we accept the method and we want to implement it, or we descend to business and we're just stuck there. And it all depends on whether I'm working above the will to receive. I try to work above the will to receive, or I just keep whatever I hear. That needs to be done. So I've built for myself some religion. So this is how each and everyone builds for himself a certain place where he is hiding, and he thinks that by this is performing spiritual actions. Spiritual actions, ultimately the way all Kabbalists tell us, are only actions toward connection, only towards that. And if I check myself, then I can say that by that I advance. We have no possibility to measure, to check, to build ourselves spiritually from the corporeal form. How is the difficulty of that first degree that's hard to reach is expressed? Where's that difficulty? This difficulty exists in that being in that first spiritual. To be in that first spiritual degree, I need to be in the quality of bestow above my quality of reception, and the quality of bestow comes to me through the reforming light, and the reforming light shines on me to the extent that I try forcefully to perform a certain action of connection, an action of bestow. As much as I try to do that, and the upper light works on me, and this is how it advances me. Our 10 meets. We are vaccinated. We meet physically as animals, as beasts. We collect fantastically, and we remind each other of the Creator. We turn to Him, but we understand that with our own strength, we won't be able to make it. How do we take all of that, and we convince the Creator that this is it? Only you can do this work. We cannot connect by ourselves. That does not depend on your desire, but to the extent that this desire will be uniform as much as you will want. Nevertheless, to connect and feel yourselves together and feel yourselves together in, bestow to the Creator in annulment towards the Creator, as much as each one of you wants to annul himself before the friends to that extent, and no more he also annuls himself before the Creator. That point of annulment, it needs to be depicted in the center of the society, that you are all working on it, how to annul each and everyone before their group, and when you all together reach a certain such intensity, then you will feel in that you rendezvous with the Creator. You will feel in that the first degree of the letter as a group is something that's already there. Yes. Thank you. 31. Yes, it's a continuation, I guess. How do we depict that feeling that the Creator is not mine or somebody else is how does the 10 attain the Creator as something that is common. The Creator cannot be revealed towards one individual, because there's no vessel there. The Creator needs the smallest collective, smallest group, is 2 at least. If a person builds his vessel above his ego, and the ego is revealed only in the rejection or repulsion from the other, a person overcomes the gap between himself and the other, and is capable of being connected from the eternality of his heart to the eternality of the friend's heart. Then at that point of the connection of the hearts, this is where the Creator is revealed. He is revealed as a force that belongs to everyone. That's why only in connection. That's why the Creator shattered the vessel the world receive into pieces to give us an opportunity to locate and to find Him. And this is our work to connect. So in the connections between us, we reveal the Creator. The Creator does not appear inside our desires, but on the seam between our desires. As much as we wish to put them together, we can't do it because it's the coarseness that's revealed, the ego, that's revealed each time greater. But if we wish to do it, and then the Creator gives us the force of bestow, and then with this force of bestow we cover the separation, and that's how we reveal Him. It's like in a vessel we see the coarseness and the screen and the reflected light, and then the connection with the Creator. So what should we agree on that? This is more important in each one of us or himself. The disagreement is more important that each one forgets about himself, just as Rabash writes, each one forgets about himself. He places all the zeros in the right place, and he connects with everyone as much as possible. And this is what he sees before his eyes is all the time to perform actions. About friends, we're going to go to another lesson from May 10th, 2006. Preface to the Kabbalah Item 3. You can find it in the writings of Balaam. Let's go. The above-mentioned order of cascading, which brings the will to receive to its final form in this world, follows a sequence of 4 phases that exist in the 4-letter name. This is because the 4 letters have air in his name, contain the whole of reality without any exception. Who knows and from where is this known? It's rooted in the thought of creation, the light which spreads, giving birth to the will. The light comes first, the will comes second. So within the light exists the entire plan, and this plan builds, constructs the vessel. In these forms of development, 1, 2, 3, and 4, the light in itself is the root, shish in Hebrew. And these 4 degrees of development, in those we don't take the root into account. That's the light. Before the desire existed, the will, and it's called Yad, Kaf, this name, and through this name the light that fills the vessel will be revealed to us. Here there's desire which is ready to be delighted to enjoy. Yes. And so the process of the development of the vessel is concluded. Afterwards come the first restriction, and so on, as a response, as a reaction from below upwards, on behalf of the desire. But here, the desire is ready to be delighted. It's completed from above. And so, from the light wherever it may be, wherever the light may be, there must be 4 phases, 4 stages, and the last stage in the development of the light will be the kli, the vessel. Between light and vessel there must be vav, the name of the Lord, the name. Otherwise the vessel will not feel desire, will not feel light, will not feel the source, and there will be no response. Without response there is no created being. It all must exist, must happen, only as the light operates upon the will. Here you have a kind of primordial raw will, and here you have the prepared will, prepared desire. That's what he says, the order of the above mentioned order of cascading which brings the will to receive to its final form in this world. He discusses the entirety of this cascade. Never mind. It follows a sequence of 4 phases that exist in the 4-letter name Javier. This is because the 4 letters Javier in his name contain the whole of reality. What does it mean, the whole of reality? The development of the will to its desired state, to its final state. Nothing else is required on behalf of the Creator. He doesn't need to do any more. Everything else is the response. Here, also the response, the reaction, and everything else comes from the desire. If he throughout this development the light is the first, the light comes first. From here on out the will, the desire comes first. And here development through reaction takes place, restricting oneself, constructing the screens, resembling the Creator, cut loot, the shattering, the light, the vessel, precedes the light, so to, says of course, until it cascades down to this world, that the light proceeds. This is called this world, until it completes all its development. And this world is as, until it all cascades. You could say, that all, this is the tip of the, at the, itself, and this is the complete harver. From above downwards. What does it mean? Through all that creation is finalized. From above, from the side of the Creator, the roots of Javier is actualized here, materializes as a desire. That's why he says the above mentioned order of cascading which brings the will to receive to its final form in this world specifically, and from below upwards the ascent takes place, and here the vessel precedes the light. That's why it is said that the created being determines the degrees of development before the created being feels, before it all happens to it. Then he decides upon whatever actions. Although the actions he doesn't perform, them the light does everything, but he wants the light to perform these actions on him, and by that he walks along with the Creator, and before that decision nothing happens, and this is called the vessel preceding the light. Continue. In general, they're described in the 10m and their root. They are 10 because the SB of contains 6 internal spur, and the root is called, yet in essence they are called. These are 4 worlds called, and the world of Asur contains this world within it. Thus there's not a creature in this world that is not initiated in the thought of creation to delight his creations. Again we speak of desires when we speak of this world, also desires the last degree of that called this world, and these are desires which are disconnected from the Creator. They lost contact with the source, their origin. We're not talking about the body. Sometimes it's not, our explanations aren't exactly precise. We say the spiritual worlds, then the barrier, then this world, and I draw a person. This is shorthand. You need to understand what the meaning of it is, as best ye can detach the self of each one of you from this corporeal body, this the proteins, the desires, the human desires. That's what we're talking about. What desire are we talking about? Only desires which are aimed towards, directed towards the Creator. Only those, and a person here, and just painting a little Human embodied everything we have in the body we don't talk about that is called the false, the imaginary world, and everything that can connect from the heart to the creator, that's the only thing we talk about, only these desires. Here even the world of this world we're talking about, desires that exists within our hearts and are aimed towards the creator. Desires which the body develops as bodily desires or develops as human desires that we do not discuss at all, belongs to the imaginary world. Yes. What are desires? Where is there? 1. These desires have to do with my existence in what we call the false, the imaginary world. They disappear later. These desires have to exist. They have to be the imaginary world, simulated world. You could also say these desires have to exist in us, so that from them we will begin to develop the point in the heart. Prior to entering the field, the workplace, you need to have some kind of existence from which you can determine, I want to enter the field. What field? Where I work with my heart towards the creator. So the stage before you begin working with your heart towards the creator, that's called the imaginary world, that's where the whole of humanity is in that state. The moment you begin to direct your heart towards the purpose of creation, and you feel that this is your self, now that's what's important, then everything else becomes more and more. It all becomes a means, something you step on so as to jump higher. But sometimes you fall back down to a state where you're only in these imaginary desires. Yes. So these means those are really the spiritual desires. Those means that once I want to correct your heart, and the means for that correction is the force that comes from above, called Torah, the light in it. Reforms 1. Yes. Hence there isn't a creature in this world that will not be renewed from a creator, and it's created immediately of light and vessel, meaning certain measure of abundance. What does it mean there will be a renewed creation? Creation means the sensation of existence, my inner spiritual existence, even detached from the creator. Even if I feel bad, good, I justify him, I curse him, it doesn't matter with respect to spirituality, because I'm at the bottom of the ladder, which extended from above downwards, but I'm still on the ladder just at the bottom point, the lowest point. I have no connection with the creator. I don't have the feeling of the good who does good. I don't feel that he exists. There's concealment over him. There's concealment over the fact that he is the good who does good. His providence is good, but I have some kind of relation to him, and so it is called that I'm a creation, still a created being. However, if I disconnect from that feeling, meaning that I belong to him, that I belong to the path, even though I don't feel anything in those concepts, if I fall from that, it means I fall into my beast form, beastliness, and Balism isn't shy about calling it that. Beastliness. I'm disconnected from spirituality and thus become a beast in every respect, because in me there isn't a desire which connects me to the spiritual ladder. So, creation is called the will to receive, with the light in it which to some extent, even a little, ascribes itself to the latter. The measure of abundance extends existence from himself, and the receive, the abundance, is initiated existence from absence, meaning still in that from above downwards. Yes. Whereas the desires that we see as our beastly desires, everyone seemed like beasts, as is written, corporeal, bodily, and human desires. They don't change. They don't belong to this. They are as they are. A person can climb the spiritual degrees, and he will still want everything that his body requires. But, of course, all these things will take on a very minimal form, but he will need to use them nonetheless, as necessity, bare necessity. But for that will to receive, to acquire its final quality, it must cascade along with the abundance within it through the four worlds. This completes creation in light. and vessel called body, and the light of life within it. MHM. Questions. What? When he writes that the world will receive will come to its final quality, it means a certain the scrutiny, its final form completely disconnected from the source to the point where you can call it disconnected. I don't know how else to put it. It still belongs to. There's light and vessel. There. Vessel clean meaning desire, and the light that gives life to the desire. And the light comes from the Creator, and the vessel is an outcome of the light. They cascaded down together. But they came to such a minute tiny measure that there is no feeling in the desire of where it comes from, and in the light there's no feeling that it comes, that it belongs to the Creator. That's why it's called the body and the life in the body. But that feeling of body and the life of the body, that's the feeling of concealment. And therefore, it said that it is in this. But at the bottom we said in our world. As well we can see the quality of bestow. Let's say in nature. So, why our world is a copy, a projection of the spiritual world, a copy, it's something else. There's special matter, special substance, desire, which doesn't belong to the desire of the Creator, the will of the Creator. That's why it's called the imaginary world. In it, it's like an imprint from the spiritual world into this world, and nothing here changes in essence. Course things change in humanity in this process that humanity goes through. It advances the person. However, what advances us is not, it's not the development of matter of the substance, rather it's that point which is under concealment, the point, the final point of the spiritual ladder coming from above. Downwards it begins to develop, from below go upwards, and the development of that point causes the development of human society, human desires. But this is an external outcome. If not for the development towards the Creator from that inner desire, which is the end point of Javier, then no changes would happen in this world. Everyone would be as beasts, but only because within that beast, if you could say within, it's like asking where the soul is inside the biological body, right? There's no such thing. However, since there's a desire here, which belongs to the development of the desire at the end of Farver, from the end of Farver, therefore, human desires also change, and human society, the society of those who seem as beasts, it also develops until that point is revealed. The point in the heart, as we call it, and all these desires, human desires, they're built like that to develop that point, to help it develop. That's their purpose. But it's not that they in themselves turn into vessels. The desires which develop in a person, although he corrects them with respect to other people in this world, these desires are spiritual. How to say it? He receives different desires: the money, the respect, knowledge, my attitude towards other who I belittle or respect or hate. Or these are human desires, are human desires. We don't need to correct those. Meaning, as soon as a person directs himself direct himself towards the Creator, desires which belong to come, which are much deeper, much bigger, desires which turn spiritual because the Creator is in them. Do not think that the way you relate to your friend is the only thing you need to correct and by which you can reach the end of correction. No, absolutely not. Desires will awaken here which are called clipot shells, and those you will need to correct, and in them you will reach the end of correction. And the desires we have between us right now in humanity and between us in the group, those aren't shells, clipot. Why? Because they're not directed towards the Creator. Therefore, those are not the desires that we truly correct in spirituality and by which we earn the spiritual vessel. It's just preparation. Item 4. The reason why the will to receive must cascade by the 4 above mentioned discernments in Abbey is that there is a great rule concerning the vessels. The expansion of the light and its departure make the vessel fit for its task. This means that as long as the vessel has not been separated from its light, it is included in the light and is anodled within it like a candle before a torch. Here we come to learn of the mutual qualities between the light and the vessel. Because the light is bestow, I don't know. What is light? It's a name, bestow creator, purely positive there. First, the one who determines. It turns out that the vessel that is born out of it, born and created under the control of or the dominion of, and in everything, the light is always the first and the one that determines. Don't forget about it anywhere. We are in a lesson on the subject of everything is obtained by the power of prayer. We read excerpts from their sources starting with excerpt 2. You can find all of our texts on Kabbalah media.info as well as in the study materials tab in the platform. So, excerpt number 2, Abash writes in the article, what is the good deeds of the righteous are the generations in the work we ask the Creator to give us the strength so we can perform all our actions for you, meaning for the sake of the Creator. Otherwise, meaning if you do not help us, all our actions will be only for our own benefit. That is, if not, meaning if you do not help us, all our actions will be only for ourselves, for our own benefit. So we are powerless to overcome our will to receive. Therefore, help us be able to work for you. Hence, you must help us. This is called do for your sake, meaning do this. Give us the power of the desire to bestow. Otherwise, we are doomed. We will remain in the will to receive for our own sake. Clear? Yeah. This is what we call the correct prayer, and the topic is clear. You don't need to reach a Creator, only for the Creator. To do anything for someone else, you need to see what he lacks. Right? What does he lack? He lacks only one thing for us to think about him. Turn to him with all of our actions, all of our prayers. And that is what we lack, that you need to feel. See, and that's a problem, that we won't be able to string together a few words and then we will receive. That's the problem. We can't feel that state where the Creator dwells. So what do we need to ask in order to reach the request of doing for your sake? To think about it. There's nothing else we need to do besides that. To think about how to come to request, which is for your sake. Yes, it's a desire that lacks the desire with our nature. We love, we can turn to the Creator and work toward him in this way. When does the Creator help a person? When a person truly asks, demands something true, real. The person thinks that he's asking, demanding, but in reality, he sees well. Perhaps he doesn't feel the assistance he gets from the Creator, or maybe his demand isn't true. Yeah. So, what does he do in that state? If he doesn't receive what he asked for, even if it's clear that it is an unnatural request, but rather an artificial one, then it turns out that he receives nothing. How can I tell that I'm receiving? You can tell in your senses. You can detect it. And so long as I don't receive, you don't receive. And for you, it's like I'm a void. My question is how to make the prayer more and more accurate. He writes number 3, a prayer is work in the heart, that is, since the root of men's heart is the will to receive, and he needs the opposite, meaning that it will work only to bestow and not receive. It follows that he has a lot of work to in inverting it, and since this is against nature, he must pray to the Creator to help him come out of his nature and enter what is discerned as above nature. That's what men need. But we can't ask what we don't have. Even now, anyone who hears, you should hear that the greatest bequest we can raise is only to ask for the forces to bestow to the Creator. Previously, you said that a person has a desire in which there is no desire. Then by nature we can't turn to the Creator. and act towards him. So what can we do? From what to begin? Yes, from what? The question is simple. From what do I begin? I agree that this is path. This is the way. Although I don't quite feel it. They don't understand the degrees of how to attain it. But, nevertheless, if I take upon myself above reason to do all kinds of actions, that will get me to Lishma, which is something that will change all of the forces inside of me. It's not going to help much because I wasn't born with it. I never received it. Doesn't seem like I can get it from anywhere through some action. It's a problem. So, what could help? What could help? Let's keep reading. Just to continue that question. We know that at some stage we need to reach cry. So what you said about it being our weak desire with no desire, these weak things. From that to we need to reach a true outcry for the prayer to be answered. So, there's a lot to there's a big gap basically between that small and scrutinized thing and that great outcry, that shout. So it can come from two things, as we say, either it's you running away from something bad, that's where we are, or you really want to reach that other new thing which is not properly scrutinized and it's weak. From where does the outcry come? The shout, the cry, the shower, the cry comes from your desire. That is entirely aimed at approaching the Creator and filling. I heard that it's something very weak, that we don't have it in us. So how to reach that outcry? Start to cry, and the important thing is to add to what you're crying about. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. We ask that the Creator give us the power to be able to act. What is that power? That force that we ask for, that power that He wants us to receive from Him, and by using Him we will resemble Him. So it's kind of a hot house. It's something that we're not in, but we're not in it. Thank you. You just told. Starts crying, then adds power to that cry. What is the addition? The addition that each time I want to be a greater bestower. I want to bestow more and more and more. And this has to be the result of seeing how much my work, my exertion, is turning toward the Creator, and besides that I want nothing. That's it. We now we watched a recorded lesson with you about the purpose to the wisdom of Kabbalah, and there in item 4, there was that rule where the coming of the light and its departure makes the vessel worthy of its row. So were we ever in a state where we only serve the Creator? No, never. To keep learning what He writes about it, in order to check if we are turning toward the theatre or not. So we don't have such records. No. So according to that rule, how can there be such a vessel if it was never in that state, and then departed from it? How can it exist from the side of birth? Because we seemingly have such records where we can bestow to the Creator, and how to awaken these records. No, that's a question. That is a question for the time being. We didn't read about it. Thank you. What will help us to continue? Other question from Turkey, sorry. And what will help us increase that cry to scrutinize it, to extend it, to make it full? We would all want to come to it. We all turn to this one address, which is the Creator, to ask the Creator to give us such powers. The importance of having that. Why aren't we drawn to this? It's not important to our will to receive. So we need to ask the Creator for importance in bestowing to Him, and only then we can hope it will happen, that it will happen, and we would want to pray for it and come to it. How throughout the day before the lesson, what will help us work correctly in order to advance to that, the way we are learning how important it is. It's about how much I'm in it, how much time do I spend in it, praying, scrutinizing on that depends, and my advancement. We need to aspire to be in that throughout the day as much as possible, in that scrutiny. Yes, as much as possible, and learn from one another. A few jump up and want it, and it seems to them that they want it. And then first of all be sure that they don't want it correctly, because it's such an awakening is only in them perhaps, and we need to reach a state where practically everyone is awake to that. And I hear that in the friends there is this. Is this the time of, well, right now? Is there the time for, well, right now? Well, in this period now, is there a specific window of opportunity to break through? I don't think it's a window of opportunities, but I think it's according to the book, because that's how it's written. Though that we need to ask and pray and want to awaken a deficiency. So we do it. So what you're actually saying is, the opportunity always exists. It depends on us. Yes. Thank you. I want to touch on a point that you mentioned yesterday, that we need to come to a state in order to obligate the Creator. What is that point? The state where we need to obligate the Creator to answer. Thus that we understand that without His help we won't be able to move from our state to advance. That cannot be. Must come out of more say how He's closed in and show us our true state and how we implement it. You also touched it now, and you said we have to demand the real state. Yeah. What's to demand the real state? To demand the real state is that we want to discover the Creator, and He along with us will give us forces to implement, to perform this prayer. So what else is demanded of us as a group, as a unit, to demand, so that you'll see that we have a real desire here. Let's connect as much as each one can. Ask, but let's do it. Let's ask. You also need to believe me that if I say that we are already right next to it, we have one step remaining to do this. So let's ask. Problem is that we are asking in a state that we don't see that. It's the final stage in not knowing, and the next stage could already be in knowing, in awareness. So last question, and you touched about this a few days ago, I think, and I remember I wanted to ask you. You said that we need to feel what we need to ask from the Creator. What is that feeling about the special need that we need now to ask from the Creator? Want to feel that revealing His reality, that is what we need to discover, the reality of the Creator towards us. And then what does that mean? And then we keep going after that degree that the Creator is revealed. We will know more how we should advance. Yes, this request from that state, isn't it egoistic? Doesn't it contradict this condition for the Creator to be revealed? The plea is an egoistic, because to begin with we want to give Him contentment, and that's why we're asking for Him to reveal what we can do for Him for His sake. That's it. If a person is not in that state in which he wants to do it for Him, he's in his ego. If he's completely in the ego, so he doesn't understand what we're asking about. For him, it's like something out of a dream. But he must see that's what he's told to ask for from the Creator. He needs to correct himself in order to demand it. Meaning there is a desire, and the desire is egoistic, and a person needs to know the desire, but cursively say, reveal yourself so that I will be able to bring you contentment, even if he doesn't feel that way. Yes, you said earlier that we need to believe you, that when you say that we're next to it, one step remains. Yes. What's that step? The step is just as he writes what we read. Or is it exactly his words for asking the Creator to give us the forces, the strength, so we can perform all our actions for you, meaning for the sake of the Creator. Otherwise, meaning if you do not help us, all our actions will be only for our own benefit. That is if not, meaning if you do not help us, all our actions will be only for ourselves, for our own benefit, and for we are powerless to overcome our will to receive. Up till here, is it clear or not? Okay. What? He seemingly doesn't ask us to do other actions. He says what you're Doing what we're doing we want to continue to do. Just do it for the benefit of the creator, meaning we don't need to look for some kind of tricks of, let's say, if I'm going to work soon, that I need to continue to go to work, but I have to be with that awareness that I'm operating as part of a system, or as a result of my actions will be benefiting the society and the creator, and not to remain with the petty thoughts that everything's for my own benefit and I want to draw something for myself. It's a change in the consciousness and awareness, and not in the actions. It just as he writes, the creator will give us the forces that will be able to do all deeds for him, meaning for his benefit. Not meaning if you do not help us. If you do not help us, all our actions will be only for ourselves. We can see that how it happens with us. If you do not help us, all our actions will be only for ourselves, for our own benefit. For we are powerless to overcome our will to receive. Therefore help us be able to work for you. Hence you must help us. This is called do for your sake, meaning do this. Give us the power of the desire to bestow. Otherwise we are doomed, will remain in the wall to receive for our own sake. What else is unclear? Say my attitude towards what we're doing here in the work, in the tens, in the study, in dissemination. We need to understand that the goal of asking the force to see that we're doing it all for the benefit of the creator and not for any other reason. It's like a change in awareness, because a student who comes here wants to attain spirituality, to be bestowed, to understand, to know, to swallow everything, expecting to be better, not to be like everyone. And here we kind of need to put something else into our relation, into our attitudes, that the whole essence of our action is to come to such a state that all that we do will be for the benefit of the creator, and that's it, without any demand for ourselves. Yeah, so why does that bother you? It doesn't bother, it helps. Gives a different taste to the work. Okay, more questions. I heard you said that we need to ask for forces to bestow to the creator. Yeah, what does the creator demand for us to bestow to him? That you bestow to him everything that comes into our will to receive. What does that mean? Everything that enters our will to receive. We have a will to receive. Let's connect all our desires in each and every one into one, and into that one big desire to receive the common desire. We want to receive from the creator what he wants to give. Wait, who was there? No. Yeah. He says, help us so we will be able to work for your benefit. Yes. What can we give to a force that is absolute bestow? Help him realize himself. How do we locate the point that the creator receives pleasure in? Creator doesn't receive pleasure because he is in a state of giving pleasure. That's the difficulty. It's not a difficulty. That's his state. Yes, but we relative to his state where we want to depict to ourselves the prayer and what we're asking, we need to depict somewhat that the creator receives something from us. Yes, so I'm asking, how do you locate that point where he receives something from us? We want to bestow to him, to benefit him, to give him. You need to distinguish, to depict this point where he receives it. I don't see any difficulty here. If the creator wants to give me underwear, so sorry. If the creator wants to give to the lower ones, and if the low ones want to receive from him, so I guess they also have the ability to accept it in order to give it to him, to give him contentment by that. Okay, it's only a matter of receiving from him pleasure. Or is there something beyond that? No, that it's exactly that we have to ask of him for forces to help us to be in receiving from him and bestow. And besides the state of receiving, it also delights in that we're in some greatness that brought us to certain development and greatness, that if we will be able to receive from him, that will be because he wants it, and then we can perform that action. Thank you. Yes. From all our scrutiny since began, it looks like the force to be drawn is weaker. It doesn't have sufficient forces to be drawn towards the goal, but rather to be pushed from behind. There's power and strength to go out of ourselves. We're probably missing pain. If we really had the pain to be drawn, then we would have the strength to ask for the desire, because we don't have it in us. And this desire is also not known to us because we were never in it. How do we create the pain to want to be drawn and not be pushed by suffering? From the fact that the Creator wants to give. He illuminates on his behalf. He only gives on his behalf. So we want to develop in us the will to receive that exact light that comes out from the Creator to us. How is that possible? Only if we will be able to receive in order to bestow. Okay, that principle is clear to us. It's not the first time I'm hearing that we're close to it. In the last 2 years, I heard it several times that you said it mostly around conventions that were truly a before, and where still we don't have this pain to really want to be in a request to the Creator. How can we really want this pain to be drawn and not be pushed? At least to me, this is the impression that what we're missing, but the other being pushed by suffering. By suffering for sure, we'll move. Yep. Wait. Here. It means that if you're not resembling the Creator, that is your suffering. No, right. And that's what I'm asking about. How will I come to such a point that if I don't have suffering that will pain me, that I'm not similar to the Creator? Because that's the inversion point. That's the new point. Yes, correct. How do I come to that suffering before I tasted that taste, that I'm missing that flavor of the Greater? If I had the records, I had those tastes, then I'd feel a deficiency. I'd miss something that I was in already. Here the point is that we have to aspire to something that's unknown, that we don't have any idea about. Yeah. So how do I come to this suffering even before to this pain to be drawn to a quality that I have no concept, no touch, no idea? That's why he tells us afterwards in quote number 3 and 4 and onward, he says that the main thing is the need for that desire in the heart. 8. Number 3. A prayer is work in the heart. That is since the root of man's heart is the will to receive, and he needs the opposite, meaning that it will work only to bestow and not receive. It follows that he has a lot of work in inverting it, that desire. And since this is against nature, he must pray to the Creator to help him come out of his nature and enter what is discerned as above nature. I still didn't get an answer. Okay, we'll keep scrutinizing it. We'll keep discussing it. Yes, Gilead. I don't quite understand this discussion about suffering, because Rav tells us that we're one step and we're reaching something that we need. Something else is missing. If we're in a very long journey and there's one more step to the end, there needs to be great joy.